Hello, everyone. Happy New Year. Happy 2025. Hope that it's starting out really well for you. So, I am going to go over the 20 books that I read for last year now, 2024. So I hope that you enjoy. I read like one philosophy book, and the rest were spiritual kind of books about like I don't know, angels and different religions. So if you're not into those kinds of books, then you probably don't want to watch this video. Just a quick update on myself. I have been on winter break. I think that I finished everything maybe like December 20th, and I've just been reading. And I'll probably do a video on what books I'm bringing into the new year that I'm currently reading. But I'm not going to do like a plan for the whole year because I just like I can't plan. So it never ends up like happening. We already had a meeting yesterday. I've been doing some scheduling kind of stuff as the scheduling chair, just trying to get like everyone's classes, just make sure that they're figured out. Um, and then I do like some other things. So I have the rest of like this weekend, I guess. And then next week, all week is my last week of winter break. And then on the 13th, we start our week of meetings. We have like a division meeting, which our division has various departments, including all of the departments that I teach at in mine. I'm talking about my state college, English department, humanities department, and philosophy department. Sorry, my throat is a bit dry. I'll be back. Okay, I'm back. Hopefully that helped. So, yeah, so we have a division meeting on Monday, and then a quick departmental meeting for English, and then like a 2 hour philosophy meeting, and then I don't know if we're meeting for humanities. Um, yeah, so that's what it is. I'm planning on applying for the philosophy department at my state college whenever they make the call. I hear that they're going to be like a call for interviews. Um, like I guess the end of the semester maybe, and maybe there will be interviews during the summer. So I have no idea, like of course you never know like how you'll do. All you have to do is just apply. I don't know if my video is mirrored. Let's see. Oh yeah, okay. You can see the title. I'm like, I don't want the titles to be backwards. So yeah, and then there's Martin Luther King Junior Day on the 20th of this month, and then my university starts on the 21st, and my state college starts on the 22nd. And again, you can like skip the about me section if you don't care. So for the university, I'm just taking one online class or teaching one online class and taking Latin 2. So I finished Latin 1 with an A. I have kind of been reviewing. I need to review more for the rest of this winter break while I have time before we get into the second half of the textbook. And so I'm just teaching at the University World Religions again. And then for the state college, I'm teaching Intro to Philosophy, Philosophy of Religion. I'm teaching one Composition 2 class. I'm teaching World Literature after 1600, so 1600 to present. And is that four classes? Yes, that's it. And then I'm doing the English chair again. So if I switch into the philosophy department, I'm going to miss being English chair so much because I think it's just like really fun to go through adjunct applications and interview people and get to know people. And Just also kind of like be the first person to get the schedule and see what classes are being offered and to see which, instructors and faculty members want to choose which classes. And so it's just so much fun. I don't know, it's possible that I can kind of like continue being chair even if I am in a new department because it's under the same division and everything. So I don't know, that would be awesome. I would love to do that. Because the philosophy department is small, so there's only one chair for that. So anyway, and then I love our philosophy chair as well. She's super cool. So yeah, and I've still been writing down my dreams, doing more with active dialogue, and that's been like amazing. Like I had a dream last night about an alien visiting me. But of course, it's like not an alien. It's at least as far as I know, I don't think so. But I'm taking it as a part of my psyche. So I have a part of my psyche that feels like alienated, basically. Like like I've pushed them out of like Earth, etc. So anyway, okay, so now we're gonna start talking about the books. I don't know if I have a lot to say about it, but obviously I've already been rambling. I'm a rambler, I guess. I don't know. Is that fair? On my okay. Anyway, Book of Angels. This is a great book. Why do I still have? Oh, because I actually was going to read a little bit from I guess I don't know. That would make the video so long. I think I'm not going to do that. I will just say that um, this book is basically divided up into various sections, but if you get it, you will get various stories of people who have had encounters with angels, and it'll give you a little bit of history about angels, like appearing in literature, like especially religious literature, names of angels, but it's more like stories and talking about encounters. Like the first part is the author's encounter with angels, like getting to believe in them. The last part is other people's stories. And there is a guided meditation in here, not like for the reader, but the author went through a guided meditation and it was kind of interesting. And it looked at like the evolution of her soul through like basically it says that we all become angels eventually and move more and more toward like unity of consciousness. That was what like they found in the evolution of her soul. So I don't know. I thought that this was really cool. I thought it was like very high vibe. It was nice to read in the mornings with tea. If you have anxiety about like the what ifs, like things happening and the vulnerability of our human state, then the stories with encountering angels might trigger you just a little bit. That happened to me, just because angels come when there's like a bad thing happening. So if you don't want to read about like maybe bad things happening, the letters, at least the last part, maybe will not be for you at times. And then let me see just do the other book on angels. This book I started actually years ago, and then I stopped reading it, and then I picked it up again last year. And this is from Belinda Womack. I found or discovered her because she was on the Regina Meredith like talk show. I guess not really talk show. It's like this woman on Gaia.com like interviews people, and Belinda was one of the persons interviewed. And so basically, I think she channels messages from the archangels, I guess. It says 12 archangels, so I guess 12 archangels she channels. And there are different like little guided meditations and like I guess they're really short. You get basically like for instance, and I think there are about Um, there's a bit of an introduction, but most of it is basically these messages. And actually, no, that's not true. How Okay, there's various chapters kind of teaching you about the cosmology. Okay, it actually is like a good portion of it. Um, so things about like the human soul, what is the idea about the human soul? What is it? About healing, suffering, about the ideas of light and dark, angel power, creating heaven on earth. And then it gets into the messages. And that's what I really read this year. And so, for instance, message 4 is transformation. It just kind of runs one page, and then you have a guided meditation, which this one's called Walk in the Purple Forest. And a lot of it is like utilizing different colors because angels are supposed to be light and sound, and I guess that has a connection with colors. So I really loved this. I also used this like book in the morning, and so I thought it was great. Okay, so what do I want to start with? I guess I'll just I'll like talk about the books that I read, like not in completion this year. Like I did complete them or last year, but I started uh, the following books in 2023 because they are many pages. Okay, so the four Chinese classics, I just picked this up because I really wanted a translation of the Tao Te Ching. And then I saw it also had the Confucian Analects and Shuangxiu and Mencius. And so, yeah, I don't know. So I just was interested in this, and I'm a religious studies teacher. So it was good to have it. These are translated by David Hinton, and like he's just a really like famous, accessible kind of translator. Like his translations are really interesting and compelling and accessible. So I would definitely recommend this if you're into Chinese spirituality and philosophy. Another book that I completed last year, but I started the year before, the Gnostic Bible. So I came across Gnosticism, I would say, in my 20s when I was doing graduate work for my master's program. It wasn't in religion, it was in poetry, but I took a couple of religious studies classes and feministy kind of classes, and I would say that there's this sort of feminist, Gnostic academic writer named Elaine Pagels, and she has a book on the Adam and Eve story and symbolism, and I read that, and so I discovered Gnosticism through that text. And I had this Bible in hard cover like years and years ago. And then I think I lost it, I gave it away or something like that. So I got it again. I didn't read very much of it at that point. But Gnosticism is really interesting. It's basically this idea or this compilation of different like branches of Gnostics who all have a slightly different cosmology, but basically this world that we are living in is imperfect and it was created by an imperfect kind of demiurge. And so basically we come from source, we come from light, the pleroma, and then our journeys are basically us trying to awaken and remember that we have a spark of light within us. And then we eventually, like, after maybe all the lifetimes that we need to remember this, we return to the light. So I find a connection between Gnosticism and my own spirituality. So it was really interesting to read. And the last book that I started in 2023 but finished last year is the first volume of the Zohar. So the Zohar is basically what all of the Kabbalistic writings are based off of. The Zohar is based off of the Hebrew scriptures. Um, the first five books of the like what Christians would call the Old Testament, but the Hebrew scriptures. So it starts with Genesis and yeah, is a commentary, like a metaphorical, esoteric kind of commentary. They look at various scriptures and it's basically these rabbis that are walking, going on yeah, some kind of journey, and they're talking about they meet various people and various scriptures are brought up and various questions about it. And I would say the main reason that I love reading the Zohar, and there are more Kabbalistic writings outside of this. But the reason that I love reading it is because it's really helped me um, read anything and understand even my life symbolically. And so I have volume two now. I haven't really spent much time on volume two, but I have it. So now are just books that I started last year and finished last year. Um, all right, so a lot of them have to do with uh, Jungian analysis and Carl Jung himself. I have to thank Pandora for someone that I think I met through this channel for introducing me in a sense, like not really introducing me to Carl Jung, but inspiring me to actually do an independent study on him because he's become like a central figure in my cosmology and philosophy. And just, I mean, it was just synchronicity, basically. So thank you. So this first book is Women Who Run with the Wolves. And actually, I picked this up prior to my independent study on Carl Jung, but Clarissa Pinkola Estes is a Jungian analyst, sorry, what is his name? Incorrect pronunciation. Actually, it was back in the beginning of last year when I think the beginning of last year, or whenever, maybe the semester before, when I was interviewing in for the humanities department so I could teach world mythology. And one of the admins, that was her desk was near, her name's Crystal, and her name, which I love that name, her desk was near the office of the chair of the humanities department. So we just got to chatting, and she was doing like a reading group on this book, actually. And I don't know why, but I just had to pick it up. I'm so glad that I did because basically, this book is interpreting different fairy tales and folklore stories and interpreting them through a Jungian lens um, in the purpose and aim of like doing shadow work and looking at your trauma and healing that trauma, like healing your trauma through fairy tales and like mythology and literature. So I loved it. I cried a lot with this, and this was a really great way to start the year, actually, of 2024. Um, because at the beginning of the year, I went no contact with my family for various reasons, I guess. And I guess that allowed me to create a space for myself to really start to look back at myself and stop like focusing so much on maybe abusive dynamics and look at how I had internalized those. And now I was like, harming myself in a sense, like psychologically or not. And I was beginning to, I think, take responsibility for my own trauma and my own healing. So yeah, so this was a great start to that. Yeah. And actually, I might have started this book in 2023. I don't even know. But I picked this book mainly. This is Joseph Campbell, The Hero with a Thousand Faces. Um, as like a prep for my world mythology class for teaching that the first time. And, Joseph Campbell has the whole like hero's journey, like the call to adventure and the initiation and the trials and tribulations and meeting like a mentor and all of these different archetypes that you can see and trace in various mythological tales that have a hero going through this kind of journey. But we also, all of us, have our own hero's journey. I would say that I think I was expecting Joseph Campbell to be a different kind of writer than he is. I think in this book, he was very focused on getting all of the information in this book in a very detailed way. And I don't remember if I thought it was like a little drier. I thought like I just wanted my experience of reading this content to be magical as the subject itself. And it just wasn't. I think from my perspective, he was trying to cover too much, and I would have rather him like spin philosophically. Like I love watching his interviews and like the show that he did where he's talking about the journey of the hero and mythology and different things like that. It just didn't like the book wasn't how he speaks, I guess. So I don't know. I just yeah, and I'm sad to say that because it's such a famous book, but I don't know, the writing of it was just, yeah, it was too detailed. It's like when my students start to add so much detail, it seems like it's just a laundry list of information and it's lacking like lyricism and style. And I don't know. I mean, I might get canceled for saying that, but that was just my impression. I was a little bit disappointed. Um, Let me actually go to like not actually Carl Jung, but the other book. So, King Warrior Magician Lover. This is written by two Jungian analysts, I think. Oh no, one. Robert Moore is he teaches at the C.G. Jung Institute in Chicago, Illinois, and then Gillette is a mythologist and artist, pastoral counselor, co-founder of the Institute for World Spirituality. So credibility. Um, so yeah, so this book is on like the divine masculine, and I actually remember reading it during the summer around Father's Day because I felt like that would be a good day to like connect with my own divine masculinity and try to, heal the father wound and all of that jazz. One of my students actually in my world mythology class that I ended up teaching um, recommended this to me, and he actually did his presentation. And I love it when students recommend books to me because I just feel like it's more like synchronicity and it's awesome. So I really liked this book. I wouldn't say it's an academic book. I didn't get like that feel from it, but I felt for that reason it would be accessible. You could like buy this for your dad, I guess, or any person in your life that you feel like needs this information. And I loved it. It talks about different, um, I mean, all of these four archetypes, of course, but there are shadow sides and undeveloped aspects of them. Like I think the precocious child turns into one of them. I can't remember which one, but you can see yourself, you can see these archetypes in various areas of your life. Like the king is someone who is really good at inspiring and empowering others. Like in a king's presence, you feel seen. And so I feel like I embody the king archetype, like when I'm teaching, because that's one of my favorite things about teaching is like helping my students feel seen and inspired. So yeah, so I think that that book is, I would highly recommend it. It was great. Just don't expect it to be like super dense and academic. Um, okay, so I'm gonna take, well, yeah, I guess I'll stay with the Carl Jung mythology stuff. So, okay, I found and discovered, I don't know how, I forget how I discovered him, but I discovered Robert Johnson, and I think I was maybe like looking for books about dream interpretation, and I found him. So I read Owning Your Shadow, which I really loved. I felt that there were so many gems in this. What I highlighted and underlined is just going to stay with me forever. I really understood the Jungian shadow after reading this. Well, at least much more than I had before I read it. That said, it is a very, very short book, kind of like Byung-Chul Han, but I got so used to reading very short books with Byung-Chul Han that were very dense. Like every single sentence you could say so much about. And this book wasn't dense in the same way, but yet it was short. I feel like when you have such a short book that it should be like jam-packed, like every single sentence should be like, I guess, filled with layers of thought. And I just felt like how he was writing this book, the book should have been a lot longer, if that makes sense. So that is, I don't know, my thought, but I would recommend it. It's good. It's just that, yeah, I guess keep that in mind. This book, in a sense, the Shadow Book is like a delicious snack. This book, Inner Work, is like a 7 course holiday meal. Like it is very filled with continuous important information. So the title is Inner Work Using Dreams and Active Imagination for Personal Growth. So I've only read 2 Robert Johnson books. I have many more on my shelf behind me, actually, that I'm going to read in 2024, I'm sure. But so far, this seems like a central, I can imagine this being like his absolute central book that if you get any of his books, you should get this one. Because there's just so much, so many layers. He talks about word associations. He talks about active imagination. He talks about rituals. He has in how to interpret. He has lots of dream examples, his own, and then because he is a Jungian analyst, his clients, people that have come to him. So I thought it was really great and just in terms of like, I don't know. And I really like his personality. I like him as a person because he shares a lot. Oh, and he also has like this visionary experience at the end of the book. I almost forgot about that, which is just so cool because I just really admire and appreciate when people can talk about their mystical encounters because I know that not everyone is going to accept them. And it seems like it takes a certain level of like courage and bravery to talk about. Um, just because once you put that kind of story out there, other people might try to invalidate it. And I don't think that would really affect like the person telling it, but like in a way that it would invalidate their experience. But it might just be, make you kind of vulnerable. So there's that book. And then, okay, so now I will talk about how many books? Three, four, five books of Carl Jung that I read. So I have one book from his the collected volumes. So I think this one is volume eight. Yeah, it's eight. Structure and dynamics of the psyche. So it has various sections. It has various like essays, I guess. On psychic energy, the transcendent function, which I really liked, a review of the complex theory, which is basically theory of complexes. I don't know, like I feel like complex shouldn't be used as an adjective there because like I think of it as a noun. Anyway, so some of the other ones I won't read because there's like a lot in here. Instinct and the unconscious on the nature of the psyche, general aspects of dream psychology, on the nature of dreams, the psychological foundations of belief in spirits, the stages of life, synchronicity. So yeah, I mean, this one is great. I have not read any of the other books in the collected works of Jung, so I can't really compare. I've started reading some of the other ones that I have, but I would say that everyone should get this one. So I just think it is great. I loved all of the writings in there, just so amazing. I thought, maybe a few of them were kind of difficult to read, being like the first writings of Jung that I've ever read, because he can get quite, I would say, like, I don't know, what would the word be? Technical slash abstract slash, I don't know, just complicated ideas. So then also I had the portable Jung, which I would say don't get this if you are planning on reading widely in the collected volumes, because then you will just have repeats, I guess, because all of the chapters here are from the collected works. But if you are not going to delve into the collected works, then and you only want like one book of Carl Jung, then this would be the book to get because there's like a wide range of readings. Like there's Answer to Job in here. There's Stages of Life, which I really think is very accessible and I loved a lot. Actually, let's see, I will tell you the volumes because I wrote them all down. So that the readings come from. And it's divided up into three parts. So a lot from volume 8. I see volume 15, 12, 11, 10 in here. Also 9.1 and 9.2. I don't know if I said 6. So yeah, so I don't know. There's the transcendent function in here, the structure of the psyche. There's Answer to Job on synchronicity. The spiritual problem of modern man from volume 10, the difference between Eastern and Western thinking from volume 11, psychological types from volume 6, I thought was really interesting, but I would have to say, even after reading, I think I think that one was like 100 pages in here. Even after reading that, I don't understand the psychological types. Like I remember that one of my students, because we did a week of Carl Jung in Intro to Philosophy, and one of my students, I was like, I don't know. I think I had taught Carl for 3 hours on Carl Jung, like at my university. And then we had already had like an hour and 15-minute class on him. And then for some reason, I just couldn't get myself to talk about him anymore, even though, like, in that moment of time. So one of my students was really trying to help me out because I had written like a list of topics on the board about him that I was going to talk about. He was like, "What about the psychological types?" And I'm like, sorry, but I don't understand that yet. So I don't even know why I wrote it on the board. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe I will, hopefully it'll come up again because I can't, for instance, I don't know. Like I just know I don't understand it because I can't give like good explanations. I mean, I understand that introversion is when you really look at your internal guidance for knowledge and perception, and extroversion is when you look outside and you like gain your values outside. And like, but I don't know, that might be the end of what I really understand. I know that two of them are more rational and two like thinking and maybe feeling, and then the other one's intuition and maybe sensing, are irrational, or I've gotten those mixed up completely. But he doesn't like have a negative view of irrationality. Like being an intuitive would kind of, I guess, be irrational. Like I think that's one of the irrational ones. I don't know if I'm, and I think they're on a scale. I am definitely an intuitive. I just don't know if I'm an introverted intuitive or an extroverted intuitive. Maybe like in the middle of those. So the other three, so I would not recommend these either if you are going to get all of the collected works and read them like I am going to, because again, well, that's not true actually. Not all of them are from the collected works. There are some, hmm, maybe I don't know. I don't know. I think that there are some, like maybe some of his lectures, like this one, Dream Interpretation, Ancient and Modern. This book is, and I don't know if it says, but this book is basically um, his lectures and student papers and discussions with students about a course on dream interpretation that he gave to like a small class. Um, I don't, I don't think that this is this is in the collected works. Although, would that make sense? Because isn't the collected works like all the works? So this is from 1936 to 1941. Jung gave a four-part seminar series in Zurich on children's dreams and the historical literature on dream interpretation. This book completes the two-part publication of this landmark seminar, presenting the sessions devoted to dream interpretation and its history. It says that it fills a critical gap in his collected works. So I don't think this one is. But I think the other two, yeah, I don't know. Someone tell me. I think that the other two are also in his collected works. Yeah. Okay. So it says that like the undiscovered self is excerpted from volume 10 of the collected works, and Symbols and Interpretation of Dreams is from volume 18 of the collected work. So see, like this one, repeat. But I really liked this. I would say that I really enjoyed the second part of this a lot. Symbols and the Interpretation of Dreams, just because I'm interpreting my dreams. The Undiscovered Self seemed very historical and cultural and social. And so it kind of reminded me of Freud's The Civilization and Its Discontents, just a little bit, like the style and the content and the range, etc. of it. But yeah, but I would recommend it. Again, though, if you're not getting the collected works. Dreams, let's see, because I really didn't look at these to see when they, okay, so works in dreams come from volume 4, volume 8, volume 16, volume 12. So yeah. So again, like I think you just have to decide if you are going to, I mean, I think I mainly got these books because I really loved the cover and I was like, it's so aesthetically pleasing. It's so pretty. But I didn't really think through like my method in approaching Jungian work. And maybe I didn't know I would like him so much, but I do. And this is Dream Interpretation, Ancient and Modern. Again, this is from the his lectures. Wait, yeah, this is the one that I read, the backup. Yeah, and I don't think one is. So I think you just have to look at the cover of it, not the cover, but the what is it called? The copyright page, basically. Okay, so that's it. Oh my goodness, my stack is need to organize all of these. Okay, and then I just have 5 more books. So, and they're kind of random. The one philosophy book that I read, because I started actually reading Nietzsche when I started reading philosophy on my own, Western philosophy. Um, and then I took a class at the university where I teach. It was a class on Hegel, Marx, and Nietzsche. If you've been around my channel for a while, I did some videos like on Hegel and love and the essays that I was writing. But I just had never read The Birth of Tragedy. And I feel like I think maybe this is the first book that he published. Is that right? And it's a little bit different than his other works just because it's so concentrated and focused on um, like basically Greek tragedy and culture. So I loved this book. I thought it was so interesting. I love that he has a section called Attempt at a Self-Criticism. Good job, Nietzsche. I think good for you for trying that. And it's a short book. It's under like 90 pages, I think, or like I know under like around 120 pages. It's really beautiful. Talks about like juxtapositions between like order and chaos, and I don't remember actually a lot of it, but I liked it, and I'm definitely gonna go over it again before my intro to philosophy class, so I can talk about it because I didn't talk about it in the last semester. Let's see. Then I read I and Thou by the German philosopher Martin Buber and really love this book so much. I have a video about it if you want to know, but basically it's talking about like the sacred in relationships and how we treat each other and how we treat ourselves. And there are basically two I's. Like when I say that I is going to change based on the you that I'm talking to and how I'm thinking about the you. Is it really a humanized you? Am I talking to actual, like in my mind, actual people who have feelings and who are responding to me? Or, am I more like objectifying people or using people, etc.? You can think about like if you are at the post office, how are you focusing? Are you attentive? Are you present with the person that's helping you out on the other side of the counter? Or are you just, getting stuff done? So I loved that book so much. And then now I have some more like my last three books are kind of like spiritual books. So I have this book called The Real Toltec Prophecies. I just kind of love stuff like this, honestly, because it talks about modern day events and it talks about like the fifth sun or the sixth sun in different years. Like it talks about 2027 as being like a really important year. Um, the various cycles. Like it talks about 2020 and so it was a quick read. I think I read it in like a day or something. Just I don't know. Whether you believe in it or not, I don't know. But yeah, if you're into kind of like thinking about ascension and maybe even like cataclysms of the past and how we might like human consciousness might be evolving, you could be interested in this book. And then the last two books are a part of the Gene Keys series that I'm reading that I'm probably just going to be reading and contemplating and thinking about for the rest of my life because it is a spiritual path and it talks about shadows and your essences and what you came here to do, what really fulfills you and lights you up. And just it's really like along the path of like knowing thyself. And everyone has all of the 64 uh, gene like keys, I guess, or codes like in your like DNA. But each of us have like 11 that are very prominent and 11 shadows that we have to work through and essences that we have to like reveal, I guess, to ourselves and let unfold and develop. And so there's one book that has all of the 64, and they're based on the I Ching, the Chinese I Ching, and also on human design. I don't know much about the human design. I haven't read the I Ching. I don't know too much about it other than just like what it is and sort of how you use it. It's something that I have to look at and definitely should as a religious studies instructor for sure. But there are supposed to be four books. Like this says, Love, a guide to your Venus sequence. And they all the different books, like there are four books, and they focus on like you have to have the other book that talks about the gene keys. But they talk about, and it also looks like spheres, like you can see on this. I'm still in the beginning of like going through it. So the terminology is, I need to read the glossary, I guess. So that's a little shaky, obviously, as you can tell. But they go over different like spheres or different, some of them are repeating, I guess, but there's like a sequence. Yeah, I don't know. But the first one is Genius, activation sequence, one of four, and then Love is two of four, and then Prosperity is three of four, and then I don't think four of four has been written or published. But I know that Richard Rudd is going through, and he started like channeling these messages, and like I guess interpretations of the I Ching hexagrams back in the early 2000s, I think, like 2006 maybe. And yeah, and he does like workshops and he has a YouTube channel and everything. So I don't know. I really like it. I can't say too much more about it. Maybe they definitely, I think that, if it speaks to you, if it's calling to you, then pick it up. Um, but I don't know. Sometimes like you just have to have divine timing. And for me, I found this while looking for a copy of the I Ching and it came up on my Amazon suggested reading list or like for you page, I guess, whatever Amazon calls it. And it was just the right time for me to read it. Because, like, sometimes people recommend a book to me, and for the most part, I'm like, oh, I need to get it. I'm going to read it, etc. But then sometimes it just, there's like it just feels like there's not a lot of energy for me, like behind thinking about getting that book. And so I think that that doesn't mean I'll never pick it up, but it just means that, like, at this point, it won't resonate with me as much as it could. And, kind of along the idea and I guess, theory of Richard Rudd is that there is a sequence of activation. And when something is activated within us, then there are appropriate synchronicities for us at that time, like different books to read and spiritual leaders to encounter, etc. That if we would have encountered them before something was activated within us, then we just maybe wouldn't have understood it, or it would have fallen flat. It wouldn't have resonated. For instance, I knew about meditation before it became essential to my life. It's like I would try to meditate, but it felt like it wasn't working, like I didn't understand it, etc. So I think that that is something interesting to think about, because I think that a lot of us can say, like, oh, like, this book is so amazing. I wish I would have discovered it 20 years ago. But maybe if you did discover it 20 years ago, it wouldn't have felt the same. It wouldn't have been so impactful or exciting. Like, you needed to encounter that book when you did. So that's what I try to tell myself when I think about, like, all the things that I love now, and I wish I would have had them earlier, but maybe it just wouldn't have, like, been so great earlier. So I don't know. That's all. Sorry that this video is so long, but hopefully you skipped around to the parts that was interesting to you. And I'm just really glad to be back on and to see all of you and to read your comments that you're going to post. Because yeah, I have to wait until the time feels right, till it feels right to create a video. And I'm just like, oh no, like, January, it's already the 3rd, and I haven't made, I didn't make my, like, video that was supposed to be posted yesterday. So yeah, but I'm glad to be back on and see you all. And thank you for your recommendations. If you recommended any of these books or any of these people, I am forever have gratitude for that. And yeah, I hope that everyone enjoys, if you are in college, you're enjoying whether teaching or being a student or both, like me, if you're enjoying your winter break and getting ready for this semester. And I think my semester, I mean, you can never predict, right? So, like, I think that it'll be a little, like, more smooth sailing for me. Um, just because I'm only teaching in person at one of my colleges, so I don't have to go back and forth between places. That was really stressful, especially, like, the day that I had two classes in person at different places, and I, like, couldn't eat until it was like 5 p.m. and I was so tired. So I, didn't do that this time. And yeah, this last semester I taught 6 classes. This upcoming semester, I'm only going to teach 5 classes, in addition to being chair again, of course, which supposedly takes up the time of 3 classes. My chair duty is due, so at least that's how they calculate it. So I'm just gonna go with that. And yeah, wish me all luck for applying for the philosophy department, because I would just love if my focus could just be philosophy all the time, all day. And of course, I have my like, mythological, spiritual kind of path too. So, but if I'm in the philosophy department, I will be able, you can always teach 2 classes outside of your department that you're full-time in. And so right now, my 2 classes are philosophy. But if I'm in philosophy, already teaching classes, I can choose my 2 classes as world mythology. And so, you know, like, enjoy talking about Carl Jung even more in that class, basically. That's my, I don't know, that's my thing. Um, but yeah, okay, that's it. I'm gonna end this video anyway because it is 4:30 and it's getting dark, as you can see. So comment below what you read. I want the entire list of books, even if you read like 100 books. I want like the entire list, or at least like your top 10 books that you read, because I will use them as books that I should read if I haven't, read them. So yeah, let me know and I will catch you later. There will be a lot more Western philosophy on this channel, I am sure. Okay, bye everyone. I don't know how to end this video. Bye.